Definitely not summer anymore, is it? Last weekend, I attended a harvest celebration. It was a series of harvest gathering workshops, and it was a lot of fun, and I'd like to tell you about it. The workshops were organized by the Still Moon Arts Society. It's a local community group, and they were held in their Color Me Local Dye Garden. Fortunately, under these really bright and colorful tents, because it was kind of a dreary, rainy, not very warm day that day, and I appreciated having cover. The first workshop that I did was on weaving with ivy, with English ivy. It's a invasive plant locally, and no one really minds if you rip some out, so it's a good material to use. And I've never worked with ivy before, but the process was fairly straightforward and similar to lots of other weaving that I've done. I discovered during the workshop that I couldn't film with my camera held in my hand and weave at the same time. So this is a dramatic recreation that I did when I got home. Basically, twining works by twisting two sets of weavers around the spokes. And here's the instructor finishing off my basket. I am really impressed with what I was able to finish in just a quick 1 hour workshop, and I think there'll be more ivy weaving in my future. The next workshop was on dyeing using plant material, and it was a bit different from the bundle dyeing that I've been doing lately. This is what's called immersion dyeing. So basically, we took some scarves, we clamped and tied them up into different patterns, and then put them in a dye bath with lots of marigold flowers that had been picked from the garden, and let it heat and simmer for about an hour, and this was the result in the end. And the last workshop that I did was on making a healing salve. It was presented by a local herbalist called Laurie Schneider. And I had first heard her talk earlier this year at the Burnaby Festival of Learning, where she talked about the various plants that we have in our environment and the teachings of the plants. And she spent a lot of time talking about dandelion and about how it's an introduced species or an immigrant, like many of us, a settler here. But it's a good guest on the land because all parts of the plant are useful. It's a food source for the bees. We can eat it as humans. We can use the stalks to dye. And then she talked about other plants as well, including the nettle, which I think is going to be the focus for an upcoming video that I'm going to make. And this time her talk was a lot about the forest and the teachings of the forest. And while she talked, she made a healing salve that she gave everybody as a gift at the end of the workshop. And I think that that was just a really delightful way to spend a nice Saturday afternoon.